like a rock. Actually, he's been built by like a rock for as long as I've known him. There's like a house, and then there's a house that requires John Abraham. I'm going to talk about that also. My God. So jealousy is at its peak today. Okay, we'll discuss various things. Of course, he's considered one of the most handsome. Actually, handsome is the wrong word for him. He's considered like a sex predator. That's when women look at him, they feel that. And that's why it's my greatest pleasure. Unfortunately, not able to meet him too often these days, but whenever John Abraham is in the studio, I love it. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks, Salil.
Well, you are like women look at you and they feel something inside. You're a bit like a rock.
But you're looking good now. The first thing when I entered and I saw you, and I said he's probably in the best shape of his life. You're looking fantastic.
So for all the people that I've said, my unit, my cameraman, makeup artist, sir, बहुत मोटा लग रहा है. हाँ, अभी कौन बोला है? अभी boss ने बोल दिया है. All these people standing behind. Anyway, but so let's talk about the fun stuff first. You live the life of legends that people love. Your house is awesome. It's open. You've got a gym out there. And thanks to YouTube, you got a little insight into your life. But it's really one of the best houses that we've seen. I love the vibe of the house. Even though I haven't been there, I can feel the vibe.
Yeah, it's very open and it pretty much reflects my life and my lifestyle. I am very open as a person and I want my house to be transparent. My house is very clean lines and I love nature. So there are always trees around and I've got a floor where you just see the terrace. And my gym is built in on that floor. So there's one floor just fully equipped with equipment to work out. And that's my that's my prayer place. That's my church, my mosque, my temple. That's everything in the world to me. And that's where I did a Facebook live chat and I gave people an idea of what I do. And I'm going to do that more regularly now, Salil, because, there's one thing that we keep talking about, the six-pack syndrome and all that. And I think it's overrated now. The other thing is...
And it's impossible to do for a long period of time.
Absolutely, absolutely. The other thing is at least tell people who relate to you and tell them that, listen, it's not unbelievable to make this body. And I'm talking even to old women and to older men, and telling them that, listen, you need to live life a certain way. And what I'm going to show them is basic stuff, and we all can be happy.
So from your Glad Rags days to now, would you believe that you had a lot of knowledge then also? But do you believe that, you had to take a whole new approach, or is your approach still similar to, say, your workouts and your food and all that?
It changed completely. It changed when I had my trainer for a film called Dostana. His name is Mike Ryan. He's training The Rock now.
Wow.
And Mike, in fact, is turning 50 on the 15th of March. So
built obviously like a rock, I'm sure.
He's built massive, but he's got something called a physique, a beauty physique. It's not the bodybuilder's body.
Correct.
So he trained me in a certain way. He changed the science of my nutrition. He made me understand that exercising is all about science. When you run at a certain heart rate, you're probably burning your muscle. If you run too slow, you're wasting your time. But if your BMR and your heart rate is between a certain, like in my case, if it is between 135 and 160, I was actually burning fat and not muscle. So there's a science to everything. So I approached everything like a science. And I say this on record, Salil, I'm not an expert. I'm still learning every day.
But that's what bodybuilding is. I mean, you discover things about your body also. And like I said, for as long as I've known John, and I've known him for more than 10 years now, he's always looked like this. And I've always looked up to him because, fads come and go, but he's like a fad that never goes because it's inbuilt in you. So this was physique. But things otherwise, you've never been a materialistic kind of person, but I know, in Karan Johar says this on record. You want investment advice? You come to John Abraham. But you've been very good with that also. So that also has constantly been added, right? Property and all these things. So that hasn't changed much, has it?
Yeah, that hasn't changed much. There's an active side of how I invest and there's a passive side. So the active side is seed capital in startups,
which has now become very big in India.
Which has become big, but for people out there to understand, out of 10 startups, only one probably works. So it's like the stock market. The passive side of things is investing in real estate. And you don't have to be rich or make a lot of money to invest. You can invest in equity-based mutual funds, for example, and grow. But the idea is to save money and be cautious about how you spend money, to understand what you're spending on. And as actors, Salil, we often fall into a trap of living beyond our means. And that's scary because we actually are not that wealthy.
John Abraham saying that, can you imagine? But there's a business side of yours that came out to the fore with Vicky Donor. You know, I think that film, great content, of course, but the way it was marketed, the way you set up overseas, you know, businesses with that, that was fantastic. How did you learn that part of it? You know, because that wasn't part of anything that you knew and what you were doing there. Also, not so many people did also.
Yeah, my thing was I always wanted to produce because I wasn't getting to act in the films I really wanted to act in. And I said the only way to probably do that was gain enough of a commercial status so I can start producing. My first film, Salil, was actually Madras Cafe.
Ah, correct. Which was a kind of brilliant film again.
Yeah,
Super.
And Shujit and me went around for 7 years looking for a studio. Vicky Donor happened in the midst, and because it was a cheaper film, Vicky Donor, studio agreed to come on board. And because it became a hit, people entertained Madras Cafe. So that's how it happened.
So actually, Vicky Donor really changed your life completely.
It did to a large extent where you're right actually, Salil. People actually got a lot more respect for me as a person. And they said this guy is not just a model or not just an actor, but he's someone who can think. And I really believe that. I really believe that I have a voice that if given an opportunity, I could make an effective change in all humility. But I should be given that opportunity more often. And then I can create the kind of cinema that people like you want to see. Because you are a representation of the
audience,
youth.
yes, of course, and of the youth. Yeah.
And you know, there are certain comments that you make and when you talk is very reflective of what I read on digital platforms. And so you're just the youth like anybody else. So those are the kind of films I really want to make.
You know, and I have to also say this to you. A lot of people do get into a trap, you know, especially Bollywood, not just Bollywood, I think everywhere. You feel like you have to walk along a path that has already been treaded. If you know about Bollywood, and if you've followed the careers in the last 10 years, yes, there are a few names that you probably know a little bit more. But let me tell you this, there are a few names like John Abraham that have always been on their own and have built up an empire on their own that I feel are far, I would say, more interesting models to follow as far as, you know, what they've done. As far as their acting, as far as modeling, as far as their business interests are concerned. Because trust me, this is a more realistic role model to follow and you will be able to do that. And that's the reason why this is not just going to be about Rocky Handsome. Of course that is there. But when I speak to John, it's almost like I could end up speaking to him for 10,000 hours and just absorb everything that he's done. Because it really is, was it been 10 years since PAP?
It's been, it's been about 12 years since PAP.
It's crazy, 12 years. And it's been 12 years for me in Mumbai. Like I said, you built an own industry. You never walked along the path that people said you should. There was criticism first. When you came in, they said, he can't act. Why is he acting? Okay, he's a great model. Shouldn't leave that. Will lose money. Then comes in, you win your chops with acting, and then they say, it's too big. Yeah, it shouldn't be like this. Yeah, bodybuilder looks like a hunk of meat. Then you have Dostana, and they say, oh, what a hunk of meat. You know, then they said, don't produce. And you produce, and you show the way how it should be done. So, detractors throughout, you know, in your personal, in your private life, in your work life. I know you don't read newspapers. You told me that once.
Yeah, you're right.
But are you able to shun it all away?
I've learned how to keep it all away. Earlier, Salil, we're human beings, so we all get affected. But I thought the best way to not get affected is by actually not reading what's written there. So I am economically and politically very aware about the world. If you ask me anything from Syria
to Donald Trump,
to Donald Trump, to the Republican debate, to anything right now, I could probably tell you anything under the sun. But if you ask me about what's happening in another actor's life, I wouldn't be able to tell you, not because I don't want to tell you, because I honestly have chosen not to know. So I'm in a...
but that reflects also, even if you follow him on Twitter, he's very briefly there once in a while. It's very genuine also, and I know that it's very genuine, so it's done like that. But did people misunderstand that or misinterpret that over years?
Yeah. So a lot of people in my trade feel I'm reclusive. They feel I'm probably unsocial. And they feel I don't want to be part of the coterie. But I can't be part of the coterie because there are a lot of things that I don't like about the way things function in our industry. Am I proud to be part of the industry? Oh, I'm definitely proud. I'm a very happy member of the the fraternity and the Indian film industry. But there are certain things that I just don't do. Like, I won't walk a red carpet, for example. Or I won't dance at a wedding. Or, I may have to eat my words, but I would not go for an award. So there are certain things that I won't do. And I've learned.
And I think we all know why. It's no longer, see, thanks to social media, we all know questions always raised about awards, and we all know how people go. And it's no longer just one Salil Acharya speaking about it. Everybody sort of knows about the reasons why. And I think they've started to understand more. All those who doubted 5 years back say, acha, ab to sabko pata hai why he's not doing it. So do you feel vindicated sometimes?
Yeah, I feel vindicated sometimes. But like you said, I'm always put up to the test with every film. In case of Rocky Handsome, again, for people, it's a very genre-specific film. It's action. And, people like palatable, mushy films. And I totally understand. Everybody wants to be happy. But we have an emotional film. My film has Shruti. Shruti is in a very special appearance. She's got two of the most beautiful songs in the film. She's got Renuma and she's got E Khuda by Rahat Fateh Ali Khan. But the story is about this one man.
Revenge.
It's about revenge. It's about getting this little girl back. And it's a very, very emotionally charged film. And I'm producing the film. So when you're doing everything, you again have a point to prove.
But you're one of the few who's able to, I think, move away from the film. You can see a film and be objective about it.
Absolutely.
You don't feel that हमने बनाया तो गलत कैसे बना सकते हैं?
Yeah, totally. I'm also very clear as a producer कि John Abraham है, उसका recovery इतना ही होगा. अगर ये होगा तो इसका recovery इतना होगा. So when you are very clear about certain things, your financial model also becomes very safe.
Correct. Yes.
Then you know that commercially for you the film's going to work post a Sunday.
Correct.
Because if we expect the film to open at X, which we do, we know Monday figures would probably cover up everything because we pre-sold satellite, pre-sold music, pre-sold overseas.
So at your level, I mean, at your stardom level, it is profitable to do films, right?
It is profitable to do films if I don't charge like a star. Because if you charge like a star,
then everything goes for a dog. Listen, I have to ask you this. A lot of people are saying this. 2016 is going to be the year of reduction and correction, especially for superstar salaries. Do you think that could happen?
I think that should have happened a long time ago. And I think the craziest part is when the publicists of the so-called stars go out and proclaim and scream about
certain amounts.
Their amounts, which are in all cases not true.
And on the higher side, let me
and it's not fair because everybody in the distributor chain needs to make money, and most importantly, the audience needs to enjoy what you're making. So let's get back to basics. Let's first make a good film and then charge. Most important.
And also, it should be result oriented. The Rocky Handsome, when the first trailer came out, I mean, just the teaser came out, people were loving the fact. See, there are two people that have always made me feel something when they walk on screen. One is Sanjay Dutt and one when you walk. You cover the whole screen. When you walk like that, people love that. And that's what they say, bhai aa gaya.
You know something? I have to tell you something very interesting. You're the only person saying this to me after Mahesh Bhatt said this.
Really?
During Jism, when I first signed Jism, Mahesh Bhatt told me that, John, if there was a younger Sanju, it would be you because you have the vulnerability on your face.
In your eyes also is very that little sadness is there.
But you have the body of a man. And he said that's what we are missing after Sanju.
Correct.
And that's how I did Jism. Because he wanted a younger Sanju, a younger Sanjay Dutt to do it.
So now when you feel the love of the people, I know kids, to the women, to the men, they all have that same kind of love. I know you've always been very appreciative of it. Does one really know how to react when 5 screaming women and 2 screaming guys come, hey, John sir, meko do. Does that still make you very excited inside?
Makes me happy. Makes me feel good. And, you must always appreciate that because they're responsible for what you are, as cliche as it sounds. And, but there are moments where you just, out of 10 people, there's one person who's probably a little off. But on the whole, people are generally loving, and I see no problem in holding them, hugging them. I don't wear dark glasses. Now the doctors advised me, by the way, Salil, to wear glasses because of the flash of the camera.
Correct, they could interfere with the eyes.
Yeah, has created black spots, and I've actually blurred my vision. So
Really?
because I shoot with everyone.
Correct.
So now I insist on people, and thankfully we're doing this show. I insist on people doing selfies because
Oh, there's no camera flash.
usually there's no camera flash on a selfie. Otherwise, it's completely destroyed my vision.
Oh God.
So that's the only time I wear glasses. But outside of that, I don't wear glasses. I shoot with everyone. I hug everyone. I chat with everyone.
And you're one of the few stars, you see him all over Bandra all the time, even on your, if it's your bike or if it's your cycle or if it's your car.
Gypsy.
Absolutely. So you've let that be absorbed into you as well, right?
Yeah. You have to be regular. You have to be normal. Because today you're talking to me, Salil.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, if I'm not an actor, you know, and if I give you attitude, if I come in here and I sit here and I walk in and I say, "What's up, bro?" You know, you wouldn't even care a damn for me tomorrow. But we could always, we'll always be friends even outside of this program.
Correct. Yeah.
Because we're humans at some level. We all have our battles to fight, our problems, just like people around here. You know, so I think that's very important. Don't lose that side of you. Because
No, it's important. You've got a switch off switch, which not everybody has. But let's switch it on here. The promos are fantastic. It's looking very, how should I put it? It's just looking very enticing. It's good to see you back in this avatar again. And Nishikant, just sort of, you have a great connection here.
Yeah.
Very few directors know how to shoot action.
Yeah.
He looks like he knows what he does.
I think Nishikant and I are on autopilot after Force, and Nishi understands. Salil, there are moments where he walks on the set and he looks at me and he says, he just does, and I look at him and I say, okay. And he says, you understood. I go, okay. And he walks back.
Super.
So there's some kind of chemistry that we have, communication that we have, where we understand each other 100%. And more than just director, actor, we're actually friends for 12 years now. So we've grown up together.
He's another very underrated director in the industry. I
Very
feel.
underrated.
He's got a great body of work, whether it's Leb Hari, The Sham, your film.
Yeah.
Now, so, has he chosen to stay away?
Yeah, he's also pretty much like
A recluse,
He's a recluse. He hangs out by himself. And what people will realize after they've seen Drishyam or Mumbai Meri Jaan or Dombivli Fast, Nishi is very high on the emotional quotient.
Correct, yes.
So when you see Rocky Handsome, I know right now it's all about the knife fights, everything. But when you walk out of the film, and trust me, you'll have a tear in your eye and you'll say, what an emotional film. But the action is...
That's the line that you do want with it.
Yeah, so that's what you're going to walk out with, because Nishi's very strong on emotions.
And very strong with editing as well also. You know, each of the films that you mentioned, I think a film is made in the edit room, and I think Drishyam was one such example. I remember when we spoke about Force, you said, this is action that you will never see. And it was action that we'd never seen before. There's always that constant pressure on you trying to raise the bar.
Yeah, very good question.
And how?
In fact, Nishi and I can only benchmark Rocky Handsome against a film which we've both done.
Yeah. So.
That's Force. So for one, we wanted the action to be better than Force. Rocky Handsome is probably 5 times or 10 times better than Force in terms of action.
Okay.
We wanted our villain to be more dangerous than the one in Force. And Nishi is the villain.
Yeah. Which is, again, surprising.
Again, surprising, but we wanted our villain to... See, there are villains who can match up with me or try and match up in terms of
size
and body, but it's still very difficult.
That's very rare in India, at least. Yeah.
It's rare, but when you have a villain, like Stephen Hawking once said, that my dream is to play the villain in a James Bond film. When you have a villain who's a thinker, then you know he's far more dangerous. And I think Nishi has outdone everybody, including Force and everything, the antagonist.
Was he an automatic choice with both of you?
He was not.
Oh, okay.
Nishi's very close friend was supposed to play the villain,
Okay.
who was a non-actor, just a friend of his, who Nishi was convinced about, and said, listen, you've got the face, I'll get you to act, don't worry about that, you just do this. 2 days before the shoot, that guy developed cold feet. And Nishi's assistants told him that, listen, sir, why don't you do it? And Nishi decided to shave his head bald, and he walked out of the van. And that's when I saw Nishi for the first time, and I thought the other guy was doing it.
Yeah.
And I saw Nishi, and my ears and eyebrows just went up, and I said, oh my God, I met my match. Because he had that sinister quality. And you realize it when you see the film. You'll see there's a portion where he gets slapped by someone, and he just rubs the blood like this, and he looks at that guy, and you know that he can kill. And that's the beauty of the antagonist in Rocky Handsome.
What an amazing story, huh? There you go. sometimes you think that everything is done 2 days before. So it probably changed Nishikant's life as well, because you never know. People might say, now it's time for him to start acting. Does he like performing more than
He's
direction?
acted before.
Yes, in a Marathi film, yes.
Yeah, but this is the first time that he's directed and acted.
Yeah, which is very tough.
Which is very tough, and he promises that he's never going to do it again. But I think he's done a great job because he understood and he's written the characters. So he understood the character of the villain. And when you see the way he's performed it, it's done a fantastic job. And special mention to the guy who plays his younger brother, Teddy Moria, in the film. And you'll see him in the trailers where he says, bye. You know, there's this guy, he's crazy and manic. When you see both of them together, you realize that these guys are deranged.
But you see, I think that's the madness of it. There's the stillness of a John Abraham, and then the madness of these two characters. But before we go, I have to ask you this question. It is just the most obvious thing for you to do now.
Action?
No, direct.
Oh,
it is so obvious. You've got everything down to a nuance.
Yeah.
I know you've got stories to tell. You know, and you, every single man's, you know, you're like what a man would want to be, biking, this, that. Even your own story if you make or something. I can't believe that you've actually never thought about direction. I know people would come with millions of stories to you.
Yeah, so I have thought about direction and I want to direct. There's certain ideas that I do have and I'm working on certain ideas. And I know I'll probably do a decent job.
Yeah.
But I still need to finalize. And for me, casting is going to be very important and content is going to be important. You can be rest assured, Salil, that I won't cast a star because he's a star.
Yeah.
That's one thing that goes without saying. Or he's there in the film because his mom or his dad or his brother, auntie, uncle, you know.
See, that's why I say he's on one side of he's got his own mountain that is there. If there's a Mount Everest, then this is K2, man. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, K2, and that's the most dangerous peak to climb. Yeah.
John, thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks, Salil.
Like I said, it's always a pleasure. And there's going to be one photograph that we're going to take about the bicep expansion that I'll be putting up on the B4U Facebook page.
Oh, wow. I can't match his biceps.
You know,
Salil's got the most fantastic
today
arms.
Because I swear, today I'm putting myself sadly up for sacrifice, but there's too fantastic to not miss out today. I will see you again soon. Bye-bye and take care.